what to wear for your Unata aerial yoga classes, you're going to want to understand that there's a difference between fashion and functionality. Now, of course, you can wear whatever fashion you would like, but there is something in terms of functionality that you may want to pay attention to just for your own comfort. So this fabric, it's stretchy and it's pretty soft, etc. But when you have your entire body weight on it, and especially when it's gathered up, it can rub on the skin when you're moving around, and that can chafe if you don't have the protection of the layer of clothing between your skin and the hammock. So because of that, we usually recommend that you have some sort of tights or leggings that cover not only underneath the buttocks, but also all the way down to the back of the knee. Now you can see I'm wearing some sort of like capri cutoff type of pants, so they don't necessarily have to be all the way down to your ankle or even like a stirrup underneath the sole of the foot, but just something so that when, let's say, for example, you may want to do a position like so, and as you move around, that you won't have to worry about sort of pinching of the skin or any sort of chafing there. Another area that we recommend keeping covered is the armpit area. If you notice, I'm wearing short sleeves. And, they're actually pretty, only like a cap sleeve too. It's not very long. So we're not asking you to wear clothing all the way down to the wrist, but we do want to keep this area as covered as possible. If you have ever noticed, when you look at like a bra top or a tank top, they actually don't have the edge of the strap or the seam right where you do for a short sleeve shirt, where it comes all the way to the edge, right where your shoulder bone is, and it scoops up pretty close to the armpit on the underneath side. Instead, with the tank top or with the bra top, it's much more in, and as a result, drops down a lot, much more too. So when you're doing something along these lines in class, as you can see, the hammock can get right into that spot that may be exposed if you're wearing a tank top, and once again, you could just have a little bit of discomfort due to your bare skin touching the hammock. The last place that we would recommend keeping covered is the lower back area, and that is, once again, because of chafing issues. So we have a position that everyone loves, and you're going to do pretty frequently, and that is essentially going backwards and upside down. And as you can imagine, right, if I start to move around, then this spot where the hammock is touching my body, it can rub around a little bit. The thing is that even though proper placement for the hammock for this particular position is around the pelvic bones, where most people usually have covered anyway, the problem is that sometimes it's not so easy to always stay there. And so sometimes the hammock slides up a little bit higher. So you want to just make sure that your lower back as well, like the small of your back, also has some covering. There's also one other thing to consider, and this is no longer about chafing, but just simply about modesty and not being distracted for yourself or for the other students in class. And that is sometimes people wear clothing that is just a little too baggy, or perhaps for ladies, a little too low cut. And then once you flip upside down, your body may slide a little bit more out of the hammock and out of your clothing than it normally does if the clothing wasn't being grabbed by the fabric, right? So I can almost demonstrate this with my own shirt here. You notice I have a fairly high collar. Probably you don't need this high for most people, but I also have it pretty low down. And when I'm here, just standing upright, nothing's grabbing me, nothing's holding on or anything like that, then you can see about where the edge of the fabric of my shirt hangs, right? But if I grabbed myself, like if I grab the hammock, or if the hammock is grabbing around me and sort of squeezing onto the shirt, and then the rest of me drops down, then the edge starts to creep up a little bit. And I'll see if you can see that when we do it here. Right, I don't know if you can tell, but what happens is that you literally get decompression of the spine, which means your spine gets longer, but the fabric of your hammock, of your shirt, might have gotten sort of squished together a little bit as it's caught up in the hammock. And so now the edge of this shirt that I've got going is actually above the bones of my pelvis, which are below, right? These are the very top part of my pelvic bones, and the edge of my shirt is above that, right? And of course, when you go upside down, the same kind of thing can happen. Let's say I'm going to sort of raise my shirt a little bit here, and as I wrap the fabric of the hammock around my shirt, it's got a hold of the shirt, but the rest of me, especially if it's something soft, sort of can fold up and sort of fall towards the floor with gravity, of course, right? So sometimes you have to be a little careful if you have a low-cut shirt on and the shirt stayed with the hammock and you did not. Any case, I don't mean to get too personal, but let's face it, you'd rather know about that ahead of time before you went to class, wouldn't you?